So, if you're like me, you've probably been hearing some bad things about Marilyn Manson recently. And I have made hours of videos on YouTube explaining why I believe that he's innocent of the allegations against him, and why I believe that there's certainly a huge, huge chasm of reasonable doubt in this situation. And therefore, why I believe that he should not be canceled and that his name should not be maligned in the media without evidence. And there's been no evidence presented. Now, I know a lot of people don't have time to watch hours of videos. I wish you would. Go to my channel, check it out. I think that they're interesting videos, and I think that they'll really change your mind about this if you believe that he's guilty. But you know what? If you don't have time, let me just lay out some things really fast for you here, okay? First of all, in a normal situation, if you had multiple accusers like you have here, it would be, I think, more conclusive or more indicative of guilt. But this is a major celebrity. He's a very easy target, partly because of the way that he's presented himself over the years and his image. And partly because he, by his own admission, has surrounded himself at times with a number of very unstable people. I'm talking about some of the, for lack of a better word, some of the groupies that he's been with and hung out with and everything. And so I just want you to understand that when we're talking about Marilyn Manson, we're not talking about your normal average guy down the street. We're talking about a guy who, for various reasons, is a really attractive target. And for a number of these women coming out with allegations. Now, understand as well that these women have quite a bit to gain potentially from making these allegations, okay? A number of them, first of all, they all posted their stories on Instagram, which is really not a serious way of raising legal allegations against someone, okay? So they posted on Instagram. One of the accusers, used it as an opportunity to push her latest song. She's a musician, a singer, to push her latest song, which just so happened to be about Marilyn Manson, right? And so, it was basically part of a PR thing on her part. And if you, a number of the accusers, one of them, Esme Bianco, she's done basically a kind of a media mini press tour. If you look at her Instagram, she's got her Good Morning America interview, and she's got her New York Magazine interview, basically as if they were like IMDb credits or something, right? And then, today, Ashley Morgan Smithline, she's going on The View to talk about her story. She did a People magazine modeling photo shoot several weeks ago, and it was basically like you couldn't tell if you were looking at someone's attempt at a serious interview, or you were looking at some kind of modeling. It was a modeling shoot, right? Some kind of promotional modeling advertisement. And if you look at that interview, if you look at that People interview, it's just not a serious interview. It's just not. It's ridiculous. And if you look at the comments underneath it, you can see that the viewers thought so too. Anyway, my point is that a number of these cases, almost all of these cases, you have sagging, flagging careers of women who are getting past their prime. No offense to them, I'm the same age, but women who are getting past their prime, especially in Hollywood. And a number of them, they need money or they need career exposure or whatever. This is an easy way to do that. Okay. We also now you might say, well, what about the case of the main accuser, Evan Rachel Wood? She's got a flourishing career. Yeah, but I would argue that if you look back at the history of interviews that she's done, there's a lot of instability there, particularly with her opinion on Marilyn Manson. Now she claims that she was just sort of like, she didn't know what was going on, and she was just kind of talked into or forced into some of this BDSM stuff. This really kinky or uncomfortable sex. But if you look back at interviews that she did at the time when she was dating Manson, and also not long after, she talks about like how much she enjoyed that aspect of their relationship, that, like she loved, like that they made a movie together where they were rolling around in blood, and that it's not puppies and roses for them. There's a darker side that they enjoy, and that he was the first person who ever allowed her to be herself, and that people would be shocked at how healthy their relationship was. These are things that Evan Rachel Wood was saying. And if you look at her evolution as a person, just from the little bit we're able to see from the outside, she's definitely changed a lot, which is fine, as we all do. But she has become now this very hardcore modern feminist Me Too activist. And she's really into advertising her supposed trauma and her pain. She used to put up pictures of self-cutting that she had done at one point. I don't think they're up anymore on her Instagram. She has, Instagram videos of her crying and talking about all of her emotional instabilities and stuff. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that per se, but what I'm saying is that she is very invested now in this sort of new idea or this new focus in her life on supposed feminist activism. She is, by a number of accounts that I find credible, she is dating a hardcore feminist activist. Evan Rachel Wood has talked about how she's bisexual and she's not in a relationship with a binary person right now. She's in a non-binary relationship. But this woman, Ilma Gore, hardcore activist, and I don't, and if you see even the change in Evan Rachel Wood's style of dress now and the way she wears her hair and everything, I'm just saying that there has been a major shift that's occurred. And I don't think that we can just go by her words and trust what she's saying about Marilyn Manson, because she's getting a lot of mileage out of this in terms of her activism and her perceived role as at the forefront of some of this activism. She co-wrote a bill called the Phoenix Act having to do with domestic violence and stuff. So anyway, my point is that I believe in every case except for hers, there's a monetary reason and a career reason why these women are making these accusations. In Evan Rachel Wood's case, her career is doing well, but I do think that there's some very complicated stuff going on. And I have, on my channel, I've done analyses, actually deeper analyses of her and what I think is going on, so you can look at those, okay? But here's the thing. If we're going to cancel somebody, we need more than some accusations, especially when, as I've said, there's such an incentive in this new media age where everyone wants media exposure. There's such an incentive when we're talking about celebrity culture, and there's such an incentive when we're talking about this new Me Too ideology, which in some ways, like with Harvey Weinstein stuff, has been good. In other ways, not so much. Look, and the thing is, there are tremendous inconsistencies in the way that these accusers have talked about Marilyn Manson in the past, and then what seems to be a fairly sudden shift for most of them, just within like the last year. We also know that these women, these accusers, they did not come out organically. In other words, it was not some natural thing where they just sort of all came to their senses and came out with these accusations. They were recruited by this woman that I was telling you is a good friend of Evan Rachel Wood, and we know that for sure, and probably her girlfriend. Ilma Gore sent out emails to all the women who've ever had contact with Manson that she could come up with. Working in conjunction with one of Manson's ex-assistants who's now suing him. And a number of these women are suing him, and you could argue it's a shakedown for money. That's what I believe. But anyway, the point is that there were these emails that were sent out, and one of the women who goes by Greta Aurora online, she received one of them. She received two of them, and these emails were trying to recruit women to get on board with this move against Manson. And so this is like when we're talking about this kind of high level Me Too media celebrity stuff now, we're talking about often these kinds of coordinated campaigns, and it's become like a cottage industry, as I've talked about in other videos. All right, doesn't mean that the accusers are always wrong or whatever. I'd say in most cases in the normal world, I would say that most of the time women are telling the truth. But in this situation and a number of others, I don't think so. Also, the argument that because Marilyn Manson presents a certain image, or because he has edgy music, or he's done outrageous things, that automatically makes him an abuser or rapist, I think that's just very stupid. And look, it's important to understand that a number of women that Manson has been with, including Rose McGowan, who, as you know, is a big Me Too activist. She was one of the main accuser against Weinstein and so forth. Rose McGowan has said over a number of years, way back when she wrote her memoirs, that he was not abusive at all, and that it was a very laid back relationship and a sweet relationship and all of that. Stoya, a porn actor who dated Marilyn Manson, she has never come out and said anything about him. other than their friends, even though she came out publicly against her ex-boyfriend James Dean and accused him of sexual assault. So, and she's a big feminist activist, Stoya, in and out of the porn industry. So she would have said something, I believe. And so there are all these different women, including Manson's wife. There are all of these different women who are standing by him and who say this is not the Dita Von Teese, his ex-wife, released a statement saying that this is not the man that she recognizes, that yes, he had a drug problem and that was why she left him. And yes, there was infidelity, but that he was not abusive and that she does not recognize these behaviors that these women are describing. All right. Also, and I don't have time to do it here because I want to keep this video short, but there are a number of inconsistencies and problems with the women's stories. I have hours of videos that I've done where I've broken down the lawsuits, and I've talked about how when you actually get, and please watch them, when you actually get into the lawsuits, when you actually read them, you see that the lawsuits do not hold together as consistent documents, that they have all kinds of contradictions, self-contradictions within them, all kinds of things that don't make sense. And look, you know, you have to remember too that a lot of these charges are not about rape, okay? Most of the women are not accusing Manson of rape. And in fact, almost none of them are saying anything about that they said no, or that they didn't give consent, or that they resisted. Okay, you have to understand that that almost everything that's being alleged against Manson, people are alleging that they went along with stuff like, well, I really didn't want to do this kinky BDSM thing, but I was afraid that it would hurt my career if I didn't please him, or that he would leave me, or I didn't know how he'd react, and so I went along with it. You know, Esme Bianco, one of his main accusers, she never said no to anything. In fact, she and a number of the others concede that they acted enthusiastic at the time about this stuff. Okay, and so just understand too, when you hear that there are this many accusers, you know, 15 or however many accusers, you have to actually start reading their actual accusations. Most of them they posted on Instagram, and to see that a lot of that almost all of them were not talking about allegations of assault or rape. Okay. Now, Evan Rachel Wood, she claimed once that there was one occasion in their relationship, which, as you know, lasted on and off over a span of several years, that there was once that she told him no and he raped her. And I'm not saying that would be okay if it happened. However, as I said, I find a lot about her testimony to be really problematic and inconsistent. And if you go and look at my videos, I've done a breakdown of some of her testimony too. I go through some of these interviews and I talk about them and what I see there. But my point where Evan Rachel Wood is concerned is merely to say that her allegations so far have been the most serious, and 99.9% of what she alleges has nothing to do with actual assault. All right, what she claims is basically that because she was 18 and he was in his late 30s, that he psychologically manipulated her into, coerced her is the word that they like to use now. And this is, you know, this is the big thing with modern feminism. The latest is the notion that assault need not just be through be physical or through threat of violence. It can also be psychological and emotional coercion. And if you look up the definition of the term coercion, you'll see that coercion is something that we all do with each other in all of our relationships. Okay, so this new idea now that Manson psychologically coerced a lot of these women into doing things they didn't want to do, or they claim now in hindsight they didn't want to do. Very suspect. Okay, that's not all of the allegations, but it's a large number of them, you know. And so just understand, you know, and some of the allegations, or one of the allegations, for instance, is that Manson joked about having a rape room in his house. Well, that's not much of an allegation, okay? I've told worse jokes than that. And yet that woman, who, by the way, had an album coming out, had music coming out, and also had a Saturday Night Live appearance in the next week, right? So it was a very convenient timing for her to come out with this. But that, you know, that woman, that's all she claimed, that Phoebe Bridgers claimed, is that she went over to his house and he joked about a rape room. And yet she gets listed in the media as an accuser. Okay, so understand that when you see this, oh, there's this many women have accused him. It is not that all of these women have accused him of rape. Okay. There's so much more that I'd like to talk about, and I'm going to start releasing a series of videos in which I go over all of the different reasons, and I'll actually show you interviews and photos and stuff, and show you some of the issues and problems and inconsistencies in the accusers' statements, things that we just know are not true or don't make sense or that they've contradicted in other ways. But I wanted to put this out there today just to show you, to tell you that there is another way of looking at things. And I hope that you will not crucify this guy automatically just because of some highly financially and career motivated hearsay and gossip allegations. All right. All right. Have a good day. Thanks.